It's like a long dream. The bed and pillows were beige, and the wallpaper of the room was the same shade, and the sunlight from the window streamed into her bed, reflecting the pattern of lace curtains in the air. In the air, there is a smell of roast meat. Such a warm environment led Sewon Pipi, severely stunned for a moment, looked around several times, the furniture around a little unbelievable. Where is this place? Is this what heaven looks like? I still get to go to heaven. Is there some mistake? Da Sewon Pipi sat on the bed for a long time, Peter a little pumpkin. Did the woman who just spoke, is that Maggie? Those few words suddenly brought up a very vague picture in her memory. Couldn't this be Los Angeles? She shook her head in denial. How could it be? Her time in Los Angeles was so short that she could hardly remember it, except for the incoherent images that sometimes appeared in her dreams. And that was 20 years ago when she was 5. She habitually clenches her hand in front of her lips whenever she thinks about something her brain can't handle. But this time, her eyes drifted down, frowning at her hands for half a moment, and then she flung back the quilt, and the next moment, she cried out, "Tay bang dee," and fell to the floor. This body Da Sewon Pipi struggled to get up, look at his short arms and legs, and that did not develop out of the flat chest, wearing a pink nightdress that children now look up to, but also printed with Donald Duck soil, cannot be soil. Sewon Pipi thoroughly confused. Not that right? It may be that their own movement is too big, and the two people who did not go far outside the door heard the sound and returned. Sewon Pipi heard the footsteps outside getting closer and closer and was hesitating whether to climb back into bed and continue to pretend to sleep or just stand here staring at a blank face when the door opened. She was a plump, middle-aged white woman, her brown hair pulled up in a ponytail, her bangs piled on her forehead as if they had been scalded into wire, and her large fluorescent pink earrings were dazzling. Da Sewon Pipi stared at each other, that a butterfly sleeve, big shoulder pads, tight pants, dress, mouth more and more open. Is my little pumpkin awake? Would you like something to eat? Day, the woman, had a gentle smile on her face, and her eyes were full of joy. She reached out her hand very easily to Da Sewon Pipi, picked up, scared Da Sewon Pipi, heart suddenly startled. Not arm struggle up. Maggie, you're scaring her dead.
Yeah.
Behind her followed a middle-aged white man with a deep and loud voice, although the figure is large, but good temper and smile at Sewon Pipi. He looked a little more normal, though. His curly hair, which was clearly blown, almost stopped Sewon Pipi from shouting. Are you guys going to a breakdance party? That's not how vintage works. The woman named Maggie smiled softly. Sorry, I just wanted to carry you downstairs. In another position, she lifted up Sewon Pipi's little butt and let her wrap her arms around her neck, asking with concern, "Is that better? Say." The two people's kind inquiry eyes somehow let Sewon Pipi some embarrassed up. She leaned her head on Maggie's shoulder. The heart is still messy. The tip of the nose smelled the hairspray in Maggie's hair, but it was not so pungent, and the peripheral vision saw Maggie as white skin, as high as the bridge of the nose, and as long as the eyelashes. Sewon Pipi slowly closed his eyes. It's really Maggie, the Maggie I remember. Why are we meeting again? Maggie carried her out of the yellow room and pointed to the last one in the hallway. That's our room. And the one with the no visitors assigned is Tim's room. Oh, you don't know Tim? He's 17 years old. He's playing in a band in Washington and won't be back until next week. You know, he was glad when he heard you were coming because he couldn't see you first and had a quarrel with us. Tere. And looked in the direction Maggie pointed, and his heart had understood 7 points. If Tim's only 17, then she must be 5. There is only one voice in my ear that keeps repeating, "You are reborn, Sewon Pipi, you are reborn, you are really in Los Angeles, you are 5 years old. My God, what are you gonna do? Sewon Pipi, hello, hello, hello? Are you starting to have hypotension? This is not the plot of a novel, Sewon Pipi. You can believe you are reborn. Datsi and Datsi." Boang Wayo, really do you lack morality? Curse me to do it all over again. For what? Although the head is doing its best to turn quickly, but Sahwang Paipi's face still has no reaction, mainly scared, and do not know what expression to put. In this way, Maggie took her downstairs and took her to visit the living room and kitchen. When she saw those antique furniture, Sahwang Paipi finally understood the 3 points of confusion. This isn't a retro party. She's in the early 90s. Maggie's outrageous costume is explained. Peter's curly hair is answered. And even Tim is still alive. But what she couldn't understand was why she had to come back here and start over. When Maggie carried Kwang Pati downstairs, Peter followed them with a smile, adding from time to time, "Faith, that is my piano room. You can go in and mess with it anytime."
This television can get a lot of cartoons, when Tia was a kid. Sesame Street was his favorite show. We even got the video.
Knowing that the child should not understand what they were saying, Maggie was a little perplexed by the look on the pumpkin's face, and she quietly turned to Peter and gave him a look for help. Peter quickly understood, gently touched off Wang Pichi's small head. "Day, when you learn English, you should be a naughty child. Maggie and I saw you running, very happy in the welfare house. Maggie thinks you are as cute as a little pumpkin shouting words we don't understand, but I can see that you like talking, huh? There? Huh? Zawang, Peitzbi, I can't speak English." For Gosjuan Peperi, who has lived in the United States for nearly a decade, this may be more painful than losing her voice. I remember Peter and Maggie didn't speak Chinese, and Sahwang Paipi wrinkled her eyebrows again. The pain in her throat was gone, but the dry feeling was still there. She cleared her throat and tried to make a sound. Tisa, bu, tio, tisa. Yeah.
The sound's still there.
A little pumpkin opened his mouth. Peter thought she was saying some Chinese words, excitedly turned around, danced, and pointed to the yard. "Dears, I take you to the yard. We are barbecuing with the neighbors to celebrate your arrival. Everyone wants to see you. You understand what I'm saying? Tio, it doesn't matter. I have a translator. Tio." The taste of barbecue is true. Sahwang Paipi is hungry. The courtyard of the big glass door opened. The thick flavor of barbecue. Sahwang Paipi's stomach, grunting, rang several times. Although the last moment is still attending their own memorial service, but a few days have not eaten besides. She flew over 20 years, cannot be hungry. Peter had already called to his neighbor to bring some roasted corn, calling out Thashim, Mrs. Chin, Mrs. Chin. "Where is your son, Tia?" There were a few people sitting in the yard, and it seemed that there were 2 or 3 small parties with their children, and everyone saw that the Tessa party theme, Beas in Maggie's arms, finally appeared, and they all naturally came over to introduce themselves. In an instant, there are so many explosive heads in strange clothes. Let Sahwang Paipi more panic. See an age, also 4 or 5 years old little girl to hide behind the adults, dare not speak. Sahwang Paipi also borrow flowers to offer Buddha. Hurriedly a spirit hold Maggie, head buried in her arms. Well-developed Maggie's soft breasts almost suffocated Chong Paipi. Finally saw the little pumpkin has some good feelings for himself, even if the arm is a little sour, but Maggie also held Sahwang Paipi tight, whispered in her ear, "Tet doesn't matter, don't be afraid, everyone likes you very much." With such a soft tone, Sahwang Paipi suddenly had a sour nose, too many feelings came out. It has been many years, no one has talked to her like this. Uncle White bought you corn. At the moment of biting her lips, hard Sahwang Paipi suddenly heard the familiar mother tongue, although it was the sound of milk and gas, but she quickly raised her head. It was a little boy with the same broken arms and short legs, and the big watery eyes on the plump pink face blinked and pointed to Peter, who was carrying a plate of corn peas. "That uncle invited you to eat corn. Can you speak Peter?" "You're not talking. I was just so caught up in the little guy." Okay, the Sahwang Paipi saw all the people around looking forward to the eyes gathered on their own. It is very generous to reach out and take a corn. Small as a ting grin. "Tea, thank him, Tia." Peter nodded his head and said, "Oh, you're welcome. Oh, Maggie, you see she's really hungry. Which one of you has tissues? Tea." When Maggie put Sahwang Paipi down, little Deshengte ran forward enthusiastically. "DKM 4.5 years old. What's your name?" "My name is Trang Sabachi," Paipi said, suddenly flashed down. "My name is Sabanji next. Mine by Japan." See two children very happy in the chat. The adults finally relaxed. My name is QN. Small doesn't say he finally had a name. He pointed to another Safententi standing not far away. That is my brother. His name is QNA Udefay. Are you brothers? How can two young men have such different vibes? QN hang round face of lovable. That called QNU seems to have 8 or 9 years old, although the eyes like Lang Star is also a handsome boy, but that face is much cold. Before Can Hang could go on, his ice brother came over a few steps, took his brother's hand, and left. Then Hang was dragged to the other side of the yard by his brother, where a middle-aged Asian woman with a better face was sitting. She smiled politely at Sofuang Paifi and hugged Kua Han Hang, who rushed into his arms at the next moment, doting and kissing his little face. Dr. Long Paifi thought this is Peter just called TV Mrs. QN Bizao. But the elder brother slowly raised his head to Za Shuang Paipi and looked back. So sharp with hostile eyes, let Shuang Paipi, subconscious, very disgusted. At such a young age, why should you be so distant? The Shuang Paipi wonder. But forget it. She skimmed her mouth. There are too many things she needs to be familiar with. She does not have time to care about small children. Because her pickup's on its way.